Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse study through the entire Bible. Currently, we are in Ecclesiastes chapter 10. I am going to try something very ambitious. I'm going to try to get chapters 10, 11, and 12, which will finish the book today. But again, I won't. I won't promise. Here we go. Let's get right into it, though. Ecclesiastic chapter 10. Where are you at? Chapter 10. Okay. All right. He says, dead flies make a perfume, perfumeth all, ferment and stink. So is a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. Now, this is a great comparison right here. We got perfume, and dead flies can certainly make it nullifies the perfume, right? So foolishness, folly, outweighs any wisdom and honor. You think about wise people have done bad, stupid things, unwise things. Think about that. We could, the list can go on and on, but just the people that you see, they can be very, very wise, but they they say something, do something, and it nullifies their wisdom and honor. Verse 2: a wise man's heart go to the right, but a fool's heart to the left. Interesting, this thing right here. Notice the term right. Now, the term right or right hand always signifies the place of honor, power. So notice when you see this statement here, a wise man's heart goes to the right, but a fool's to the left. Now, this is what I want you to see. Why the earth, when you look at our political climate, right, you have what is called the right, and then you have what is called the left. Think about that. Just think about the imagery. When you think about the right and the left, rights are usually conservative, Republicans, the left, progressive, Democrats. But biblically speaking, um, that's an identification of a fool. Anyway, um, um, verse 3. Um, Even when a fool walks along the road, his heart lacks sense, and he shows everyone he's a fool. Right? Even if he walks along the road, his heart lacks sense, and he shows everyone he's a fool. One thing you can count on is a fool will be a fool. If a ruler anger arises against you, don't leave your place, for calmness puts great offenses to rest. Like I say, when you talk about a king who has absolute power, like I say, this is hard for us to understand this concept because we have freedom. I can literally curse out the president and won't go to jail for it. Verse 5. There is an evil I have seen under the sun, an error proceeding from the presence of a ruler. The fool is appointed to great heights, but the rich remains in lowly positions. I have seen slaves on horses, but princes walking on the ground like slaves. Now this is again, he's cruising by and he says, look at this, right? Look at this, wow. Verse 8, the one who digs a pit may fall into it. The one who breaks through a wall may be bitten by a snake. Verse 9, the one who quarries stone may be hurt by them, but the one who split trees may be endangered by them. If the axe is dull, the one who does not sharpen his edge, and one does not sharpen his edge, then one must exert more strength. Great wisdom. However, the advantage of wisdom is that it brings success. Verse 11, if snake bites before it is charmed, then there is no advantage for the charmer. That is true. By the way, he just gave you the key to all these snake charmers, right? You got to charm them first. That's why they seem like they're hypnotized. Verse 12, the words from the mouth of the wise, from a wise man are gracious, but the lips of a fool consume him. The beginning of the words of his mouth is folly, but the end of his speaking is evil madness. Yet a fool multiply words, no one knows what will happen. And who can tell anyone what will happen after him? Right? We can't. Cannot tell, excuse me, after you are gone, what will happen. Verse 15, the struggles of a fool worry them, for they do not know to go into the city. Woe to you, land, when your king is a youth, and your princess feasts in the morning. This is something that is almost prophetic because Solomon's son would be just that, a fool in his youth that will split the kingdom. Verse 17, blessed are you, land, when your king's son, your king is the son of nobles, and your princess feasts at the proper time. For strength is not for drunkenness. Because of laziness, roof caves in, and because of negligent hands, the house leaks. A feast is prepared for slaughter, and wine makes life happy, and money is the answer for everything. Now it's kind of interesting here because money does answer everything. You got enough money, you pretty much can do a lot. What the Bible says also is that the love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself. Verse 20, do not curse the kings even in your thoughts, and do not curse a rich man even in your bedroom. For a bird of the sky may carry the message, and a winged creature may report the matter. Now, you ever hear that term? I heard a little birdie. Chapter 11, verse 1. Send your bread on the surface of the water, and after many days you may find it. Now, a lot of people use this for kind of giving technique, okay? But in a sense, bread just floats on water, and if you throw it out there, it kind of floats back. Verse 2, give a portion to 7 or even to 8, for you don't know what disaster may happen upon the earth. Okay? If the clouds are full, they will pour out rain on the earth. Where the tree falls to the south or to the north, the place where the tree falls, there it will lay. There it will lie. Now, this is not, of course, the philosophical answer. If a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? I think that's probably one of the stupidest questions or philosophical questions to answer. But I won't get into it because I'm tempted to. But anyway, verse 1. One who watches the wind will not sow, and the one who looks to the clouds will not reap. In other words, sometimes if, you try to base what you think how the weather is going to. Of course, our meteorologists are better today. The science is a lot better. Verse 5, just as you don't know the path of the wind or how bones develop in the womb of a pregnant woman, so you don't know the work of God who makes everything. Now, of course, again, the science, we know these things here. Back then, they did not know. Verse 6. In the morning, sow your seed, and at evening, do not let your hand rest, because you don't know which will succeed, whether one or the other, or both of them, will be equally good. Verse 7. Light is sweet, and it is pleasing for the eye to see the sun. Indeed, if a man live many years, let him rejoice in them all, and let him remember the days of darkness, since they will be many. All that comes is fruitful. Verse 9, rejoice, young man, while you are young, and let your heart be glad in the days of your youth, and walk in the ways of your heart and in the sight of your eyes. But know that for all these things God will bring you into judgment. Okay? This for youth, because they do live as though the end will not come. I remember when I was young, death, judgment, none of those things fazed me. I didn't even think about the end. Verse 10, remove sorrow from your heart and put away pain from your flesh, because youth and the prime of life are fleeting. This is probably the biggest thing for you young people. I'm in my 60s, so I can remember when I was in my 20s. I could not see elderly age. Of course, I got a different perspective now. Chapter 12, verse 1. So remember the Creator in the days of your youth. Now, I'm going to say, I am thanking God for his mercy that I came to the Lord when I was 19 years old. 18 years old. And that was living a very sinful life, a life where I rejected God. Remember the Creator in the days of your youth. Before the days of adversity come, and the years approach when you say, I have no delight in them, before the sun and the light are darkened, and the moon and the stars, and the clouds return the rain, on the day when the guardians of the house tremble, and the strong men stoop, the women who grind cease because they are few, and the ones who watch through windows see dimly. The doors at the streets are shut, while the sound of the mill fades. When one rises at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of song will faint. Also they are afraid of the height and the dangers on the road, and the almond trees blossom, the grasshoppers loses its spring, and the caperberry has no effect, for man is headed to his eternal home, and mourners will walk around the street. Now, notice he says, remember the days of your, go back, remember your Creator in the days of your youth. And then he says, before adversity comes. He gives all these things before. Remember the days of your Creator. And then notice he says this here, kind of an interesting statement that he kind of throws in. Okay. In verse 5 here, the last statement, it says, in the middle statement, it says, for man is headed to his eternal home. So understand, only a perspective of the Lord can have that, cause you to have that perspective. Death is one thing, and then your eternal home. What will be your eternal home? Now, today, there are a lot of people who deny that. Some people that think death is just the end. But all right, verse 6 again. Before the silver cords snap, and the gold bowl is broken, and the jar shattered at the spring, and the wheel is broken into a well, and the dust returns to the earth as it once was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Now that's we don't see a lot of statements like this in the Old Testament. Now when he says, and the dust returns to the earth, now the dust here is referring to your body. But notice he said, and the spirits return to God who gave it. That captures life, that captures existence for man. Your body, spirit, we can also say your soul, but one returns to God who gave it. Now, what does God do with it after death? Well, we have other messages on that. If you are righteous with God, then God will do what your spirit as he pleases when you fall into that judgment. That's why he said, now remember your Creator in your youth, so that your spirit returns to God and that God holds you into his bosom. You remember the story in Luke chapter 15? The rich man and the poor man. One went to Abraham's bosom and the other one went to hell. But that's God's providence, see? You don't have a control over that. Verse 8, absolutely futility, says the teacher, everything is futile. Verse 9, in addition to the teacher being a wise man, now remember the teacher here is one who instructs. And as a wise man, Solomon, remember, he taught, he struck. In fact, just keep this in mind, people came from literally all over the world to hear and have an audience with Solomon, to hear his wisdom. In addition to the teacher being a wise man, he constantly taught the people knowledge. He weighed, explored, he arranged many proverbs. Now, of course, it is estimate that, well, one scripture does say that Solomon in his lifetime spoke over 3,000 proverbs. Verse 10. The teacher sought to find the delightful sayings and the right words of truthful accurately. The sayings of the wise are like gold, and those from the masters of collection are like firmly embedded nails. The sayings are given by one shepherd. He says, but beyond these, my son, be warned, there is no end. There is no end to making. There is no end to the making of many books. Now, as an author, I'm glad to hear that. But of course, what he is saying is you can always write. There's always going to be someone to write something. And authors, you could take heed to that too, by the way. There's always that. He wasn't necessarily talking about the publishing world. Okay. He says, and much studies wearies the body. College students, you know that. Verse 13. When all that has been heard, the conclusion of the matter is this. In other words, everything. Now, think about this. Everything up to this point, this book that he's been expressing, telling you about, giving you different viewpoints, right? He says, when it has all been heard, the conclusion of the matter is this. Fear God and keep his commandments, because this is for all humanity. For God will bring every act to judgment, including every hidden thing, whether good or evil. So now you can see when he gave his philosophical point of view of everything that you saw. Notice he said, this is the conclusion of the matter. He said, because let's go back and think about some of the points that he was making. You know, what good would it do to have all the money in the world, to have all the fame in the world, to have all the possessions of the world, to have everything that your heart's desire can have? And remember, he gave different points. Sometimes he saw a wise man walk behind a slave. He saw a slave come up and rule the world. King overthrow. I mean, all these different perspectives of life. You can go back and read right here. Fascinating book, right? Fascinating perspective and wisdom. What good does it do for the wise man to be wise, and then for the poor man to be poor? Or for the good to be good and the wicked to be wicked, when both have this meet the same end? Here's what he's saying right here. Right here sums up everything that he's saying in terms of those particular aspects. Fear God, keep his commandments, because this is for all humanity. All humanity. And it's kind of interesting when you think about certain thinkers, atheists, non-Christians, because we're heading in a thought of ungodliness. That the world is in a sense, it's rejecting God. So God will bring every act to judgment, including every hidden thing, whether good or evil. And right there becomes the most sobering thought of all of this book right here. All of this book. God will bring every act to judgment, including every hidden thing, whether good or evil. So no one would escape, even though, remember, he said, it looks like the wicked always get away with it. Not so. God will bring every act to judgment, including the hidden things, whether good or evil. So keep his commandments. Fear God and keep his commandments. That's the sum of all of it. And notice this. This is for all humanity, for all humanity will be judged. All right, guys, we are done with the book of Ecclesiastes. What a fascinating book. Next time, the Song of Solomon. And we are getting to that. One of the most central books in the entire Bible. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought, a comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, I'll see you in the Songs of Solomon.